Hello and welcome back once again to my channel. Today I'll be sharing with you the next part of writing a research paper, that is writing the discussion section. And in this section I'll be talking about what points we need to include while writing the discussion section. So let us first understand the roadmap of my presentation. So here I'll be dealing with the first topic, that is introducing the concept of writing the first paragraph or the introductory paragraph of the discussion section. Then second, I'll be talking about the how to interpret or talk about the significance of the results. Third, I'll be dealing with the implication of the results. And then fourth, I'll be talking about the limitation and also the recommendation that we need to give to the readers for better understanding of the research process. So having said this, let us now move on to the first chapter or the first topic, that is introduction. So before I begin with the introduction, I would like to say that the discussion section is where we actually delve into the meaning, importance, and relevance of our results. So, therefore, the discussion section should focus on explaining and evaluating what we found, showing how it relates to our literature review, and making an argument in support of our overall conclusion. So there are, of course, different ways of beginning the introduction, but then normally the introduction should continue the summary of our findings. So we try to actually reiterate the research problem first. So a brief recap of our key results is necessary. So we summarize the findings that directly answer the research question. So we have to give whatever research findings we have already stated in the results section. We have to give a brief overview of the results section, and then we have to go to the research question and summarize the findings on the basis of the research question that directly answer the research question. Here is a sample I have for you. So, the study demonstrates an improvement in the use of cohesive devices as reflected in the oral performances of students. Now, so here, this is the way I have started, and now you can understand that we are summarizing only that aspect which is the most important from our research perspectives or from the research question that we have already stated earlier. So having understood how to write the introductory paragraph, let us now move on to the second aspect, that is interpreting the results. So here we will be talking about the significance of results. Now, so the meaning of the results is obvious to us, but it may not be obvious to the readers. So therefore, it is important to spell out the significance of the results, showing exactly how they answer a research question. So the form of interpretation will obviously depend on the type of research that we have undertaken. So it could be in the form of finding out the patterns or the themes or the relationship among the data. It could also be related to discussing whether the results met our expectations or supported a hypothesis, or we could also explain unexpected results and evaluate the significance, or else we can also consider possible alternative explanations and make an argument for a position. So here is a sample that I have for you. So as you can see from this sample, I have started like this. In this section, the results of syntactic complexity in written language is compared to earlier studies. And then, of course, I have shown what kind of comparison that I have found, and after I have shown that, I have identified the difference could be as a result of a large sample selected for the present study. So there was a difference in the in my results and in the results of the earlier studies, and so that difference I am trying to give a reason for the difference, thereby trying to indicate that my findings are not inferior, and my findings are not inaccurate, or my findings are not unreliable. They are reliable, but there could be a difference because of this reason. So now let us move on to the next section to understand this better. So here, I'll be talking about the implications part in this section. So the implication part, should actually, we have to make sure that we relate our results back to the scholarly works, that is, we compare, our results with the previous work, thereby trying to find out whether they fit into the existing knowledge, or what new insights they contribute, and what consequences they have for theory or practice. So while writing this section, it is important that we ask ourselves certain questions. That is, do our results support or challenge existing theories? If they support existing theories, what new information do they contribute? If they challenge existing theories, why do we think that it is challenging the existing theories? So having understood this, I have a sample for you over here. So here you can see, as I'm talking about the previous sample, that it is a continuation of the previous sample. So I have shown the difference. The difference is the mean length of the written units for experimental group, where a particular figure per sentence, and so on. I have shown the difference, whereas in the earlier studies this was a difference. Now I am justifying the difference could be because of this reason. So therefore, I have said that there is an implication in my study, in the sense the differences, because the large sample size, when we do the analysis, there could be a variation in the mean that we calculate, or there could be a variation in the type of units, or the written composition, or the written units that is produced by the experimental group students. So now let us move on to the next part of the topic, that is the limitation part. So the limitation, as I told you, it should not be misinterpreted as the weaknesses of the research that has been undertaken by the researcher. Rather, for any research work, there is bound to be a limitation, because the way we planned a research work, it may not happen that we have also proceeded in a similar pattern, in a similar manner. There could be unexpected results that could occur in the research process, or there could be unanticipated obstacles that could take place in a research process. So therefore, these limitations should be highlighted in such a way, so that we do not try to look down upon a research, or we do not try to consider a research to be inferior. Rather, we consider a research to be contributing to the existing knowledge, and therefore we have to see to it that we present a limitation in such a way, so that the findings are considered to be reliable, and they're considered to be valid by our readers. So here I will say that we acknowledge and provide also suggestions in the limitation section. So limitation helps to demonstrate our credibility, and of course, as I told you, the limitation could occur due to unanticipated obstacles that emerge during the research process. And of course, we also need to state why the results are valid in spite of the limitations. So now let us move on to the next section, that is the suggestion or the recommendation section. Now this suggestion section sometimes is written or is combined together with the concluding section, with the conclusion chapter, but it could also be written immediately after the limitation section, and thereby developing the continuation. So written immediately after limitation, as I told you, and it is necessary to give concrete ideas, because when we give a recommendation, we need to give a practical implementation or for further research. Sometimes the recommendations could be given in such a way so that the readers who are reading the recommendations can actually take forward the research, and they can go for further research. then the ideas that a researcher wasn't able to address, those kind of problems, or those kind of research prospects should be highlighted while giving the recommendation or suggestion. So we can start like this. Further research is needed to establish, or further study should take into account. So all this, in this manner, we can start the recommendation section. So having said this, I would like to thank you all for your patient listening. I hope you have understood that how to write the discussion section. In case you have any difficulty while writing the discussion section, you can definitely write in the comment section, and I will respond to your queries. Thank you once again.